So we'll call the meeting to order. First item is approval of the May 14th meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the May 14th board meetings minutes.
Let's say we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
That was Greg Morrison first and Joyce
Sorry.
Grimble second. Thank you.
Bank balances be next.
Hey, Mike, before you move on to that, I sent it kind of late, but if you guys would consider and vote on the memorandum regarding the executive session you held after the meeting last month.
Do that.
What that does, it's like minutes, but it just acknowledges that all you discussed was for a purpose under the open door law allowed for executive sessions and nothing else, and no votes were taken.
Okay. Everybody has been able to see it? Okay. So we need a motion to approve that?
So moved. David Reeves.
Joyce Grimble, second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Do I sign this in Dan's place, or do I leave that for him? Okay. I'll keep it there. Okay, now moving on. Bank balances.
The bank balances. The operating is $104,000, no, I'm sorry, $104,276.37. The maintenance or the grinder pump fund is $9,835.49. The capital fund or money market is $40,179.64.
Any other comments on that at all? Administrative report? Or do we have to do anything with that one? Do we have to do the bounce? Okay, didn't think so.
We'll vote on claims at the end, I think, is still on as the agenda states.
Yes.
So for the business for the district, again, the funds are in a healthy place where the operating fund covers about 2 to 3 times the regular operating claims. That's a healthy working capital amount. What we need to do is continue to build up the grinder pump maintenance fund and then the capital funds. So for example, if we were just to restock and buy 5 grinder pumps, those are all about $3,000 a piece now. So that'd be $15,000 to reorder and have 5 grinder pumps available. We don't go through them a lot, but just if we were to need to restock, we would not have sufficient funds to do that right now in the grinder pump maintenance fund. The capital fund, again, is in a good spot, but as soon as Tom sends those invoices, we'll keep depleting those funds. And while we keep I'm just preambling here, we'll have a vote and discussion in the new business time, but the capital fund, we'll need to get into a habit, a cadence of monthly contributions to that from the operating fund. Now that the operating fund's in a healthy spot, we'll want to start making those contributions each month. We can start really small, and then that RDC loan will be repaid in November, and that frees up about $4,500 each month that I think we'll need to keep allocating, splitting between the grinder pump maintenance fund and the capital fund. So just, again, prepping us all and keeping that discussion rolling. Regular claims were lower, again, because a lot of that was passed through. 2 months of pump and haul was included in the full number of claims, which is $49,566.76. And so the regular operating claims is really only about $22,000, a little over $22,000. So it's a good month, and the net operating surplus now for the year is at $16,754.41. Annual budget is looking good. Again, we're tracking that USIC locates expense, looking great, less than $18 per ticket, really good. This is the last round of practice for the live streaming next month, not optional. That's all I had as far as items. I wanted to confirm this about new connections. The Nucor, we're calling it Nucor Coatings now. We got a new name for it, but that expansion that's happening at Nucor on the south side of the campus there, it was a 9 EDU assessment by VS. We got the $18,000. I just confirmed that. We've discussed it before, but I wanted to just confirm that that was received and transferred to the capital fund in April. Amy did that and confirmed that, so that's good. Asper will be here later to talk about the lift station that's down there that's getting work and how it's going to be ready to serve that expansion. No need to talk about the rate reduction strategies now. We'll talk about that later, but just for your information, we're pulling off a pretty big enforcement effort in a nearby county, and right now I'm piloting some new things like the financing program and different things to help with those enforcements. If we were to add 60 plus residential users in this RSD territory, we would have a very clear playbook to be able to do that. Website, no major highlights. We did adjust the project description of Mason Lindsberg to say that in 2026 we're going to reattempt to get SRF funding. That's it for the admin report.
Any comments there? Anyone? Okay, maintenance report.
Tom is coming. I was trying to buy him a little bit more time. He said he was going to be here around 4:10, 4:15. I'm not sure what exactly the holdup was, but we could, in lieu of Tom being here right now, just present the email that he sent, which Chris Kellner, BCS, again, on Tom's behalf, before he gets here, he can clarify anything that you have questions about. Let me just pull up his report.
I got a quick question for Tyler.
Yeah.
That lawsuit, anything come from that this month?
I have no update for this month.
Okay.
So the plant was in full compliance. The IDEM reports were attached to the email Tom sent. The average daily effluent flow that treated water was 58,500 gallons per day. That's about 48% capacity for the plant. The max flow was 107, and then the minimum flow gallons per day, and then the minimum flow was 35,000 gallons per day. So 107,000 gallons per day max, 35,000 gallons per day minimum. So good, healthy ranges for the plant operating. There were some follow-ups on the pumps, just saying that they did the repairs that were needed at lift station 1B in the south. Again, that's getting prepped for that expansion. So it's important that those are ready by July so that Nucor can start sending flow. And then there is one more pump that Tom is recommending we purchase, but we can wait. That's like, I think it's a backup pump.
I think it's actually so that 1B would have a dual. 1B is supposed to be a duplex.
Right, but it's operational as is, correct?
It would be with one, but
Right. So we just want to add one more, just to make it redundant.
it's designed to be redundant.
Right.
Okay.
I think, did I say that wrong? It's just, when finances allow, Asbury recommends the purchase of another new Xylem pump to ensure South Lift Station 1B has 2 functional pumps.
Any further comments? So I guess the project updates, you want to skip that, or do we need anything there? Or is that what you?
I have no project updates.
Okay, enough. So on to the new business. You want to talk about the resolution for the metering?
So this is just a draft, first read, just for the board to consider. Last month, the context is last month a user switched to metered billing. Our use ordinance allows that for residential users to be charged either a flat rate or be metered if they have a well meter or a water meter. This person decided to switch, got a meter set up, started, sent the initial reading to Amy Kading, said, here, I want to switch. And then at the end of the month, turns out the bill was going to be bigger with the meter. And so I decided, I don't want to switch. And so that just prompted, again, a discussion about, why are we allowing metered use? There's only 3 now metered users in the entire system out of 113 customers. They were really just grandfathered in, I think, and there was supposed to be, based on Lana's background that she shared, it was supposed to be shut off and no more metering allowed, just never happened. There was no resolution, there was no change to the ordinances, et cetera. So this resolution would just make it clear that the board's intent is to make sure that no more metering occurs. And I'm recommending that we do away with metering altogether. We're not set up for it. As is, they text a picture of the meter to Amy, and Amy attempts to read that meter and then include that in the building. And so I've had to help with the meter reading the last 2 months. It's not an efficient use of the district's resources to do so. I recommend that we remove all metering, that the 3 customers who have become metered or were metered from the get-go be placed on the flat rate for 1 EDU, single-family residences. That's what they all are.
So when you presented that resolution, then does it take 2 readings?
Your rules don't require it, although I would like to take a look to make sure that we can take those 3 off meters. It could be a change in their rate, for one, and also they may have an expectation that continue because they have been under that program for a number of years, I think. So I just need to make sure that you can do that.
Okay.
Also, looking at this, we may, and it's not that big of an issue, we may modify it to actually be an ordinance, to amend your ordinance, because that's the intention of this, which that's not a big deal, but everything should be ready for next month.
Okay.
Those 3 that are currently metered, is their bill going to change much, really?
There are 2 that their bill hovers around $30 to $40, so yes, it would increase. And then again, the 1 would pay significantly more than the non-metered rate if they were to remain metered. So again, we can't have people switching and switching back just because they're going to save some money. And again, it's costing, right now, it's costing the district, I would say, $1 to $2 per user, like, to do this, to have 3 people being metered. So it doesn't really make sense to charge every other user $1 to $2 to be metered, for those 3 to be metered.
So we need to lay this on the table, or we just read it and we're good, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I would recommend you wait and vote next month on any changes.
Well, I move that we lay this on the table for next month, then.
So that'll be tabled? We don't have to vote on that, just do it, right? Okay. All right. The proposed monthly funds transfers discussion, you already mentioned that.
PCS recommends that you start moving, I would say, for now, start with at least $1,000 a month into the grinder pump, from the operating fund to the grinder pump maintenance fund and the capital fund. We can ramp that up over time, but I just think till we get it to a good place, we'll keep saying that, have a motion, have it be approved in the minutes, just so it's very clear, and then eventually it'll just be a regular thing. We just always transfer a certain amount to those funds.
Clarification. You're suggesting we move $1,000 from operating to the grinder pump fund, but then you made some mention of the capital fund. You want 1,000 from that also?
Take 1,000 out of the operating fund each month, put it into the grinder pump maintenance fund,
Right?
and then take $1,000 out of the operating fund each month and put it in the capital fund. And then we'll increase that as the funds allow.
Of course, we're going to have to vote on that, but I wonder if it could be automatic. You know, like, I could set that up that it automatically came out of those two, or out of the operating and went into those two accounts. Would that be according to Hoyle?
That, to me, that's ideal. All we'd have to do is make sure we're managing the operating fund then and saying, oh, this month we don't want to make those transfers, or we need to modify those transfers that are automatic to make sure that there's sufficient working capital in the operating fund to make all the claims paid and all that kind of thing. So
Then you can't make it an automatic withdrawal transfer, because, no.
it's extra work for the treasurer or whoever's managing that. I have viewing and privileges. I don't have access to change the funds.
Well, then we'd have to keep an eye on it and say, what's the threshold? I mean, when it got to X amount of dollars, then don't do it, but it's going to be too difficult to make it an automatic if you're going to make it so that it's a variable.
Or, yeah, or if there was not sufficient money in the operating funds to continue with that on a monthly basis. But I'm the new person, so I don't know what that all means exactly with those funds, so whether or not that's, I mean,
What do you, in your mind, what are you seeing as the minimum of the operating, what's the lowest threshold you would get to before you would quit pulling out $2,000 a month?
So, again, our claims vary, but in a month, let's say there's $60,000 in claims. If the operating fund, which is where most of them, not every check that's being sent is coming out of the operating fund. We could be spending out of the capital fund because it's buying
Right.
the Xylem pump that's $15,000 that we're
Yes.
putting in the lift station to have a redundant pump. That would come out of the capital fund, but most expenses are paid through the operating fund, and the average month between $40,000 and $60,000. So we would not want to have the operating fund dip below that and then worry about not having suitable funds and having bounced checks and things like that. So we're in a good place now. We have more than 2 times the operating claims that we typically get. So that's very healthy. I think $1,000 a month from the operating fund, $1,000 to the grinder pump maintenance fund, $1,000 to the capital fund is a very healthy, very low amount that we could sustainably do for a long time.
I move that we transfer $1,000 every month to the maintenance fund from the general operation fund, and then $1,000 from the general operation fund to the capital fund. So $2,000 a month, one to each.
That was David Reeves, member. A motion was made.
Greg Morrison, member, I second it.
Okay, question is then, how do you want me to do that?
So the way
'Cause you want me to go in there every month and do that?
do it
I would
automatic.
too, but then, all of a sudden, there's this big claim, and we're going to go,
But all the claims always get handled about 30 days out, right? We're getting them approved in the board meeting. There's never a claim where it's like, oh, we got to pay it next week. So there's normally 30 days that we have plenty of time to adjust or withhold. We've done that before. We've had to withhold the check, right? We'd approve a claim, but say we'll withhold it until there's sufficient operating funds. So I think it really affects Amy more than it affects anybody.
well,
So-
to that point, when I looked at it today, Amy does some of that already, moves stuff between the funds and then puts it back. Because all of a sudden I had a whole bunch, there was, the capital fund, she'd done something with that, which that's what she does, that's her job. I wasn't questioning it, I just noticed it. So she already does some of that.
Again, I think Amy can handle this. This is a normal standard practice across the world of regional sewer districts as well as organizations beyond that.
Okay, well, I'll go in and I'll just set up an automatic withdrawal then for those amounts to go to those two. Well, if it passes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
Who made the second? I'm sorry. David made the first.
Greg.
Craig
Greg
made the
did,
second.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Do we want to go back to the maintenance report, or? Yeah. We'll do that now that he is here.
Tom, we went through it. We kind of not read it word for word, but went through the thing you sent through email, the report. So if there's anything you want to add to that, or if there's questions, we can handle those.
Fortunately, it was a very quiet month, and not requesting to spend any more money. That's the crux of it, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, let me know, but yeah, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Any other questions for Tom? All right. Old business. It's the last video practice.
Correct. I think we're getting there, and again, we'll be in compliance start July 1, whenever this is required. So thank you all for your diligent use of the microphone.
Okay. Approval of claims. Oh, sorry, I don't know exactly what all these are, but do you go by one, or all of them together?
I think Dan usually just lets you guys know what all the claims total is, and then you typically vote on all the claims at once.
Okay. Do you need to know what each claim is, just the total? All right. Make sure I get the right one. Do I have the total? There we go. We have claims totaling $49,566.76.
I move we accept the claims for this month.
George Morrison, second motion.
All those in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Nothing further on the agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Joyce Grimble, I move to adjourn.
All those in favor?